Hey, we're back. We're live. It's noon. I'm Jay Fidell. This is ThinkTech Hawaii. More specifically, this is Energy 808 on Monday, the cutting edge. We're talking today about keeping up with solar on the Big Island, and who could be more appropriate for that discussion than Kim Keahiolalo. Did I get that right? Thank you. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Jay.
So you are a marketing person for Provision Solar. That's Marco Mangeldorf company for a long time. I think he's not involved as much as he was before, but that's the company we always associate with Marco. And you're the marketing manager there. Can you tell us how you got that job? Because we may want to get the job too. There are people out there like to have your job, Kim. I mean.
Well, the same way a lot of good things happen in Hawaii, it was through my network of friends. And I had a really good friend who I had studied with and worked with in solar in California. He had come over to the Big Island, was working with Marco. And my friend wrote to me and said, "We need a sales and marketing manager here in Hilo." And I got the job. So
That sounds like a good move, though. The Big Island is actually my favorite island. I don't know how you feel about that. Maybe you agree. The Big Island is so beautiful, and the expanses. You can see 100 miles. There's no other place in the state where it's quite like that. And then, of course, if you're interested in renewables, the Big Island has such a diversity. It's fabulous. So, okay, full disclosure, you're an engineer, and I think you have to tell people that it's something you have to acknowledge, right?
yes, when I actually went back to school and was what they call a returning student. And my counselor asked me what I wanted to do, and I told him about my leanings towards clean energy, and he said, "My dear, you're going to be an engineer." So off I went, and then I was super lucky just to get focused in on energy management and design in the built environment. So I studied architecture, engineering, and economics, all related to energy in buildings.
Oh, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. So this is actually going to be on the final exam. What courses should you study? Engineering, architecture, and economics. All three of those things, all directly relevant and directly helpful for you in this really important job. 9 years already. How's it possible when you're only 16?
Thank you.
Anyway, so what's the Big Island market like these days? We hear tell that people are staying in. A lot of people have stayed in the state. Whether that's fully justified, fully necessary or not, they've stayed in, and they haven't gone out, which means they haven't spent all those big bucks on restaurants and shopping, and it means they have a little cash in their pocket. It also means that they like to go, if they want to go shopping, they go to the hardware store and get stuff for their homes. They want to improve their homes. It's a time, may I say, you can quote me on this, for nesting. Okay? And this means they have more money, more incentive to fix their houses up, like with solar. Are you seeing that at Provision Solar?
Most definitely. We saw a surge in interest starting midsummer last year. And it was what we're hearing from people is that they're they're interested in energy resilience and energy security. They also had more time to focus on these larger home improvement projects like a solar electric system. And even the stimulus checks helped, where people had a little extra money and they were able to move forward on getting the project rolling. We
So you
also,
have to, if you're the sales and marketing manager, you have to speak to that, right? You have to realize, you have to understand what motivates them and what their situation is, so to speak, in COVID, then and now, because it continues, I think. So how do you address that? How do you respond to the needs that the market desires that you see?
Well, we show them the solutions that fit their needs, whether they want to be more green or save more money. Um, we we emphasize what is important to the customer. If saving money is the issue, we show them that although there's a capital outlay to buy the system, that the system will pay for itself, and typically within about 9 years. And after that, all of the energy savings on your bills from the utility company is just gravy. And so people like that. They feel secure. And then when you pair up a battery, some energy storage with that solar system, you you sh- you provide peace of mind for people because they want security. And if there's a power outage, they love knowing that they're going to have continuous power, uninterrupted power if they get a battery with their solar system.
Yeah, let's break that down a little bit. So if you don't have a battery, then your solar's only going to work during the day,
Hmm.
and at night you have to be tapping into the grid and paying the freight. Yeah. Even though you paid money, or you're on an installment purchase plan or a lease of this equipment on your roof, you still have to pay the utility at night. This is
Correct.
this is an imperfect result, isn't it?
Yeah, we have found from running the financials on these long-term, economics of getting solar, that if you don't get a battery, you'll probably be able to cut your utility bill in half. But if you do get a battery, you can bring it down to the minimum charge.
Yeah, I'm a worry wart though. If you go to the other side of that, unpack, and you look at the scenario where you do get a battery, and I suppose you got to tell me if I'm right about this. These days, you get if you install solar and a battery all at the same time, you get a tax credit against the whole enchilada. Am I right about that?
Yes.
So, okay, so now I have a solar and a battery, and it's not theoretical. I can operate without tapping the grid. I mean, if I get the right size, got to be designed for my use, my house, my neighborhood, all that. But let's assume I get the right size. And on day one, I'm effectively, I'm unconnected. I'm disconnected because I'll go into what I mean by that. Um, I don't need the grid at all. I can generate the power for the battery, and then the battery will keep me going all night long. And I'm a happy camper because I don't need the grid. I don't. Is this right? I
Yep.
don't pay anything to the utility. Am I right?
Well, you do still have to pay shipping and handling, I call it, but the interconnection charges. So that in the event that we have some cloudy days and your batteries aren't able to fully charge, you still have the grid there as backup,
Uh-huh.
but you're effectively an island and completely independent.
Yeah, but I'm still connected. I mean, I suppose there are people out there that want to be physically disconnected, that say, I'll do the solar and I'll do the battery and I'll even over design it. So, and I don't worry about a rainy day. And in that case, you could live indefinitely, as long as the equipment lives, you could live indefinitely on that system without ever connecting with anybody. Am I right?
Yes, and you're provided with energy management tools, software apps that allow you to see how much energy you're generating and how much you have in storage at any given moment in real time. So you could manage it. But you touched on a key word. To go that far, you would have to over design it, and then the costs start to outweigh the benefits. So you do hit a point of diminishing returns. So we work very closely with our customers to determine how much energy they expect to use. For instance, we have a lot of people that are purchasing or have recently purchased an electric vehicle. Um, and we help them calculate based on how many miles they plan to drive each year. We help them calculate how many additional solar panels they would need.
Yeah, it's all in the design.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but your discussions, this reminds me of a conversation we had and filmed of a high school girl in Lanai, which was at the time, involved in moving to solar. And, there's all controversy about the undersea cable and what have you.
Mhm.
And I said to her, what happens if there's no solar at night, or you don't have a battery that'll last all night? She says, it's simple. You go to sleep early.
Exactly.
Out of the mouths of babes, you know. But going to that, why do I want to use solar instead of one of the other renewables that you have studied in your, multidisciplinary education on energy? Why not put a windmill a wind turbine in my backyard? What about that?
Right. Well, wind is intermittent, and when we learned to engineer a wind system, the first thing we were taught is that you put an anemometer out, which is a wind meter essentially, and you let it collect data for an entire year, so that you can get. And there are tables you can get to give you an idea of how much energy you could get out of a wind turbine. But solar photovoltaics is much quicker. It's much easier to size up how many solar panels you need and how much energy you're going to get. It's much more predictable and it's much easier to implement.
I hear I hear from what you're saying that wind is something that the utility or some utility scale project might be better advised to have rather than the individual fellow or woman with the backyard.
Right. I mean, you'd have to be in a pretty windy area. If I lived in Hawaii, I might consider putting one on my property, but I would have other sources to complement the wind.
Yeah, right there at that point in Hawaii, there is or was a wind farm right up there. In fact, in the Kahua Ranch in the bowl of the mountains was one of the earliest wind farms in the state, right up there, right near Hawaii. There's plenty of wind up there,
Yeah.
but you got to be in the right place to get it. So I know we have some photos, Kim, and I want to invite you to do a photo show and
Okay.
tell us what your photos are and explain them to us. Okay,
Well,
here's one.
this is the Tesla Cybertruck. It's going to be deliveries will probably be starting at the end of this year, but I'm surprised at how many people I know who have one of these on order. Uh, my husband is one of those people, and so we're going to be getting more solar on our roof in addition to what we have already, so that we'll be able to drive on sunshine. We'll be able to power our Cybertruck with solar panels on our roof.
So this is pure solar, not a hybrid.
Exactly. It's pure battery. It doesn't use any gasoline.
It looks very spacey. It's, Tesla is really something. So, wow, the idea strikes me that in the day of electric vehicles, the conventional dealership doesn't play the same role because they don't require as much maintenance. Whole thing is modular. If something goes down, you can get it from somebody other than a dealer right away for it. Order it from, mail order house, whatever.
Mhm.
And it's different. So the question I put to you is, do you think there'll come a time when you, Kim Keahiolalo, I'll do
Yeah.
this, Keahiolalo, will be marketing Teslas? It's more than your husband. It's other people out there, and maybe Provision Solar could market Teslas. What do you think?
Well, Tesla does a pretty good job of marketing themselves. They have one of the greatest salespeople I've ever seen, and that's Elon Musk. He goes out and does a presentation, and there are millions of orders that come in over the next few days. So we
Okay,
just
well,
we provide systems that complement the the vehicles, and we provide people with a way to charge their vehicles at home.
Okay, so if I'm going to get one of those space-looking cars from Tesla that you just showed, then I need a little extra design. I need a little extra power. I need a extra, solar battery, what have you, in my system,
Mhm.
so that I can supply the car as well. So this is something I should plan for if I have in my mind, one of those Teslas or any electric vehicle going forward.
Right, and it's a rather simple formula. We know how many kilowatt hours of energy it takes to push a car 1 mile, and so we just ask the customer approximately how many miles they plan to drive in a year, and
Mhm.
then we add in extra kilowatt hours to their photovoltaic system.
Okay, what's next on your slideshow?
I think that was pretty much it. These are some Tesla power walls that were installed at homes. So we just wanted to show you how they're pretty sleek, and they don't take up a lot of space. They just hang on the wall, typically outside or in the garage. And, there's no maintenance. They have a 10-year warranty. These are solar panels that are collecting sunshine to feed the house and also fill up the battery.
You market them.
Yep, and we install them. We're a fully licensed contractor.
Is that the only brand you market when it talk about batteries? Yeah.
It is, and when we first decided to start using batteries, we had a parade of battery manufacturers come through our office and explain to us their technology and their pricing. And at the end of the day, Marco built a beautiful spreadsheet, and Tesla came out on top. Price per kilowatt hour, it's the best, and
Hmm.
reliability, safety, efficiency. And then who could say no as a marketer, who could say no to the name recognition?
Oh, sure. I remember that Hank Rogers in Blue Planet was also marketing Tesla. I mean, do you have some kind of exclusive on the Big Island or otherwise in the state marketing
Um,
Tesla?
we are one of, I believe, 3 dealers on the island who install Tesla power walls.
Looking at the slideshow, looking at those pictures of the Tesla, it's kind of remarkable, and I get the sense that an average um, single family residence can get along on the pictures you've shown us, which is one, two, or possibly three of those units
Mhm.
in the garage, not even outside, in the garage. Is it true?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. There's the picture I was thinking of in the garage. That's quite something. And the other question I would have to you about that is if they're holding all that amperage, don't they get hot?
No, they're liquid cooled, so they don't overheat.
Very, very good. It's like I have a computer that's liquid cooled and it's really terrific not to have to worry about that. Because if they get hot, it's not only, that they're hard to handle, it's that they don't last as long. Heat burns electronics, and so you really need to keep them at a decent temperature. Which leads me to another area I want to talk to you about. And you're especially qualified because you're an engineer. Okay. I can imagine, by the way, those visits that the battery guys paid, and you interrogated them about what their products did.
Mhm.
Did you tell them at the front end you were an engineer? Did you tell them that, or did you let them find out the hard way? That must have been real fun. Anyway, I like to know, I'm always interested in sea changes of any kind. And certainly you and I have examined, the increase in installations on the Big Island. And it's probably, the same throughout the state, at least to some extent everywhere.
Mhm.
But I also want to know about the about the technology, inverters, these batteries, for example, the solar panels. Are we using technology that's 5 years old, 10 years old, or is it all 6 months old?
No, the technology in the inverters is pretty basic. They had made some strides in the last few years to go to transformerless. inverters, so they're much lighter. And as you can see in that picture with the 3 Tesla Powerwalls, those little boxes above, those are inverters. So they're quite small and efficient, um, incredibly efficient. We've almost hit the ceiling on efficiency with inverters.
What does that mean? What's the
It just means,
ceiling? And
well, we're at
how do you
over
know when you hit it?
we're at over 98% efficient with the inverter. So 100% would be the maximum efficiency, which is so I think we're doing really well. Plus the costs have come down, as well as the costs have come down on the solar panels, as people continue to adopt the technology. And really what it's going to take to continue this is a collaboration between the utility companies, policymakers, and the public, who wants to purchase, who's willing to invest in the technology. And I think we're hitting a new era when it comes to that collaboration. I expect, especially if some of these measures go through, with the American Jobs Act that Biden and his administration is proposing. It's going to involve lots of incentives for car charging stations and solar energy. I I really feel that the next 5 years is going to match what we've accomplished in the last 15. So I see a lot of accelerated growth.
Well, I certainly agree with you. Charging stations are the key to selling electric cars, 'cause especially in a place like the Big Island, where the distances, as I mentioned, are greater than anywhere else in the state. And so, if people have range anxiety, whether real or imagined, that's a restraint on buying the car. But if there's, charging stations hither and yon, they can always get charged up, or the batteries that have a greater charge capability, then they're going to be much more interested in buying electric cars. And I think that holds it back. Right now, we have some 13,000 cars in a population of 1 million cars.
Mm.
It's not going fast enough for my money. Yeah. But I mean, you're part of it. The whole thing about having it on your roof so that you can charge up overnight, and be ready every morning. That's really cool. Really
Mhm.
cool. So where else is this going? I mean, for example, the cells, the solar cells, more efficient. And here's the thing, it's all in the software, isn't it? As so many other things, it's very nice to have devices, but you really have to manage them with good software that yields an efficient result. So I guess the software is in the inverters. Is there other software we need to know about?
Well, there's a unit when you look at the pictures of the Tesla Powerwall. There's a small white box next to it that's called the gateway, and that's the CPU for on the upper, on the right there to the larger box. And that's the energy gateway, and it's what talks to it talks to the utility grid, it talks to the home, it talks to the solar energy system, and it's also talking at the same time to the there it is to the battery. So you can see in real time how much energy you're generating, how much you're storing, how much you're sending to the grid or pulling from the grid. And you can see how much energy your home is using. So you can do that behavior modification where, well, let's run the dryer or the dishwasher during the daytime or charge the electric car during the daytime so that we're using our own energy that we're producing. So yeah, the software is pretty cool. We've definitely found, being solar installers, that we've also become software technicians, and we have to learn how to make sure we hook everything up properly. But once it's done, it's good to go. Um, we
Well,
do.
yeah, and you talk about Marco's spreadsheet, and I mean, I think every solar installer is going to, live on the basis of those spreadsheets, demonstrating to clients or prospective clients exactly how much money to save and all the numbers around the installation. and the better the spreadsheet, the better the marketing. And it's my sense that these spreadsheets get better all the time because solar installers and marketing people like you are always trying to make them more refined. Am I right?
Yes, and the software that we use as salespeople, we're able to model by putting in the historical energy consumption of the house, and then building a solar system in our software that actually shows up as a picture with solar panels on your roof. We're able to model the throughput of the entire system so we can show people how much energy they should expect to send to the grid, how much should go into their battery, and how much will go to their house and how much they might pull from the grid. So we're able to model graphically, visually to the customers the throughput of all the energy through the renewable energy system with the storage.
Are you the one on the interface with that? Do you engage
No,
with the
this is
customers?
this is a great company we work with called Solar Nexus that designed this software, and then it also helps us. It also calculates the return on investment, and also the break even or the payback years. So we can show the customer based on their system size
Mhm.
how many years it'll take for them to break even.
Well, very important. So, what about situations where these elements fail? Because all electronics, I got witnesses on this. All electronics fail at some point. So if I get one of these systems with the inverters and then these management consoles and the like, and they fail, what happens?
Well, they're under warranty, so we come out and replace them. And now that you have such a visual ability to monitor these things at any time, um, the customer will typically know when something has failed because we call it the Netflix app, because the solar apps now, people just look at them constantly. It's kind of exciting to see how much energy you're making and how full is your battery. So anything that goes wrong, it's under warranty, and we'll come out and replace it. But we haven't had a lot of issues. There's not a lot of moving parts, um, and there's not a lot of heat. So um, they so far, most of them have been working great. Once in a while, something honks out, we just swap it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
You spoke about the Netflix application and all that. Put it on your cell phone, what have you. But what about you? Can you, Provision Solar, can you connect up to a particular installation and
Mm,
see how it's doing?
yep. Yeah, we can see how each individual solar panel is performing, and we can see how the overall system is working in relation to the grid, the house, and the battery. Yeah, so we have access to that as well.
So you'll be able to see real time whether it's declining, whether it may need maintenance or replacement without even standing up. That's wonderful. I'm sure your customers love that because they don't have to worry about it at all. They get a call from you telling them that
Well,
it's time to pay attention.
we don't have the manpower to monitor everyone's system, so we do a full training with our customers. We do a walkthrough at the end of the project where we train them on how to use all their software, and how to, they have all the apps on their phones, and we train them how to read the apps. So it's really up to them to pay attention to the system performance, because we have, many thousands of systems out there.
Yeah, oh, that sounds most efficient. One of the things is that back, last time I looked at this, there were a lot of companies doing financing, all kinds of financing arrangements with solar and battery installations. And there was a rental model, there was an installment purchase model, and there was the outright purchase model. Which of those are you involved in? And do you use mainland, financing organizations for any of these financing products?
That's a great question. Most of our customers purchase the system. They either use their local credit union where they get great rates, or they use a home equity line of credit. Or we just had one customer, she'd been saving for many years to buy the system outright. We do offer financing. We can get you qualified in minutes, and it's a mainland company that specifically does energy efficiency and renewable energy financing. And they're actually a B Corp, which means they are a corporation that does good things for society and for the environment.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
great.
yeah, so we do offer those two things. They're both a path. Even the Mosaic uh, program is a path to ownership.
You know, a lot of people, including some people in the legislature, are concerned that if I have the bread or the credit to buy a solar installation, battery installation system for my house, I'm in the upper ranges of the economic spectrum, and a lot of people don't have the bread or the credit to do that, so they don't. And this creates, what do you want to call it, an energy or a renewable energy disparity. And that drives the policy considerations that some people have in their minds when they, legislate, for example, or regulate. So what's your answer to that? If I tell you that there are people out there that feel that solar installations are a social disparity and economic disparity in our state.
Well, I do agree with you, and I wish more people could afford solar. I know that the majority of the customers that we have at Provision Solar would be unable to purchase a solar system if they didn't have the subsidies, the tax credit incentives that we're getting from the state and the federal government. It just it would be too out of reach for them. So, yes, there are the high end customers who would be able to afford it anyway. You're always going to have those in the population, but I would say that the effectiveness of the tax credits is real, and that without them, very few people would be able to adopt solar energy. It would be too elite.
Yeah. Well, the
We have
problem is if they don't have the solar energy and they got to pay the retail rate from the utility as time goes by, the disparity may be greater and greater because the systems you describe are, once you make the investment, it's like zero cost. And it's not zero when you get it from the utility.
Right. It's like buying all the gas for your truck for the next 40 years at today's prices. You're just you're just locking it down. Um, and for people who are looking towards retirement and looking towards having a fixed income, this is a beautiful solution for them because they're going to have their power part of their home expenses locked down essentially.
Yeah. Well, if you can do it, you should do it. If you weren't around when it was low hanging fruit, you can still do it, and
Yeah.
there's still benefits. We're almost out of time, Kim, and I want to offer you the opportunity to speak to the entire legislature.
Mhm.
They're all watching, the Senate and the House. They're all watching, and they want to hear what advice you have for them on renewable energy policy in the state. Go for it.
Well, I would encourage them to continue the renewable energy incentives that we have in the state, and um, it's it's going to help not only the people who get the energy system, but it's also going to create jobs, which is a very good thing for our economy. And and if they're interested in climate change, then this is a pretty obvious solution. Every time we install a solar system on someone's roof, that's that many fewer barrels of oil that are on the water and less carbon being put into the atmosphere. But for the basic security of the people living in Hawaii and for jobs, I think solar is a beautiful solution.
All good reasons, absolutely important for our future. Kim Keahiolalo, Kim Keahiolalo.
Keahiolalo. Yeah, thank you.
Keahiolalo of Provision Solar. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate the discussion.
Thank you, Jay. Have a beautiful afternoon.
You too. Aloha.